0, 1. Let's get started.
Nothing like hanging out in the pantry and then realizing that Medra is ripping these girls apart. Like, memorable, devastating, soul crushing, humiliating, ripping these bitches apart. Yes. I am so annoyed with myself. I formatted the wrong memory card. So my recap of On the Wings of Blood prior to me reading book 2 is not here any longer. So I'm going to try to recap this book without, and not I will notify you if I feel like I need to talk about spoilers. I'm going to try to recap my feelings on it, how I felt before I started book 2. So first of all, I think I want to preface, and maybe this feels spoilery, and if you feel that this is spoilery, I'm sorry, but if you're going into this book and you are wanting dragons from page 1, or, you know, a couple chapters in, very Fourth Wing like, that is not what this is. This is every bit of this world and the relationships within the characters and animals, if you want to call them that, is going to be earned. You are going to have to put in the work to read the book. And it's not a complicated book. The writing style is amazing. It's super fast paced. But what I mean by that is you're going to have to put in the time and investment into this series to be able to get to these things that you are wanting because you saw this book and you were like, dragons. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I love the found family. I think the school is super cool. There's something very homey in a nostalgic way about this book that I feel as a millennial. I think that our main character, when I read this book, when I started this book, I guess, I was like, where is this girl from? What? I just didn't get it. And then people were like, there's a series prior to this that you don't have to read this. But if you read that, you understand more of where she came from when she was dropped into this world. And when I started this, I was like, okay, I don't think I need to know. Like, I get it. She is from a Fey world named Camelot. Got it. After reading this book, though, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I need to set some time aside. Not that I need to start more series, but maybe I need to set some time aside and read that, because as I read this book, I got more intrigued on maybe where she came from and how her world works there and who her family was in that world. So definitely something that I'm gonna put on, that's on my radar, that I'm gonna, consider picking up. I want to knock out a couple series first, I think. Now, the ending of this book is abrupt. It is a cliffhanger. And you immediately, I will say, as soon as you end, you're like, no, wait, why? Why did you end there? Because it leaves you. This author edged us, okay? Briar edged us, right? She was like, here, it's within your reach. And then the book ends. So definitely I'm really happy that I'm reading this back to back. I don't do that with series that much, even though I probably should do it more often. I don't do that with series that much where I'm reading books back to back to back. I usually break them up with something in between. I worry that if I'm too immersed into a series that I will kind of like fade off from it. Not get bored, but just be like, I don't know. I very much like, I either binge it all immediately or I break it up, and it just depends on, I guess, the way that the series goes. But I am very happy that I am binging this series. Hold. So this is Sunday, and I'm about to finish book 2. Book 3 comes out on Tuesday. with Hearts of Flame book 4, and the final book is coming out October of this year. So I'm really getting this whole series in 1 year. I'll really get these 3 back to back and then hit the finale at the end of the year. And I think that's going to give me some time to kind of miss the characters. So I think I've kind of timed this great. That being said, like I said, once this book ends, you really are like, I need whatever else. Have you ever like watched an episode of a TV show and the cliffhanger is like too dramatic to where you're like, I at least need to start the next episode and understand that cliffhanger, and then if I want to go to bed, I'll do that? No, just me? Okay. That's how I felt. I was like, I have to, like, I literally put that book down and got the next book because I was like, I have to know, and I cannot go to sleep until I know a little bit about what just happened, okay? So we moved into book 2, The Bond That Burns. This edition I love so much because of the character art. Oh, so good. Yeah, this book picks up literally right where it left off. Like, it's a complete continuation. And I love that. I love that I wasn't like wondering what was going on. I that these books give you like again, we're back to TV shows, whatever. You know, you see like a trailer for a movie or a TV show and you see little and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get to that part of this story. You get these prologues in here that you're like, oh, wait, when am I going to get to that? Even if you get to that 2 chapters later, it still feels really cool. So I really appreciate the way that she starts these books off. I am very much like in Fourth Wing and Game of Thrones, I will also say, I am very much invested in not just the characters, but also in the found family, also in the other side characters that are bad, that you know are going to do stuff that's not good. I've invested in them as well. Where are they in the background lurking? I need to know. And every single animal I'm invested. You are not going to give me an animal in a storyline, I'm not gonna be invested, okay? I still think about broccoli to this day. So I 100% am very invested in Neville. When we get into book 2, I am hyper invested in Neville, okay? So this book is broken up into 3 parts, if I'm not wrong. Book 1, book 2, book 3 within this. Oh, by the way, the series, that's the prequel series, it's the Blood of Fae series. So we get into book 1 and we're very angry at everyone, right? Do you see Neville? How cute. This copy is so fun. I love this. We're really angry at everyone, but we're starting to learn a lot more about what's going on. I try not to spoil this, or just have spoilers in general, but I loved book 1 because I loved seeing the political scheming. It also raised a lot of questions for me about people, like, are their intentions true? What is this little plot line? Where is it gonna go? So I thought the first third, I guess, of this book was very well done to like reel you back in. So if you weren't reading these back to back the way I was, you were gonna get sucked back in no matter what. Book two within here. Okay, so the second third of this book, it really sets up a big scene. It really sets up all of this emotional tension within the characters and within the world, where you're like, okay, not only do I need to know where our main character and our main male and female characters stand, because there's just this really taut tension where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And not only do I not know what's going to happen, but I kind of feel one way or the other which way it should go. But you start feeling it from the side characters too. And I think that was so beautifully done. I think that the second third of this book was really well done, because as soon as we get into book 3, which is where I'm at now, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is a great second book. Sometimes I feel like first books can really suck. That one felt very nostalgic. I did love it. It didn't give me everything that I wanted, because I had this weird perception, maybe not weird, but just I had this perception of what the book was going to be based on what I've seen other people review it as. And it wasn't that, but I still loved it. However, book 2 is giving me all of those things that I need from a book 2. I'm getting more background. I'm getting more character development from not just main characters, but side characters. And I'm getting the tension that I'm going to need to go into book 3 and keep going, right? Like you have to have like a catalyst. So the middle of this book was such a great chunk of information. And then she kicks into book 3 and you're like, shit's going down. We are going to have the action that all of this chunk of info has set us up for. So I feel like we're gonna go into book 3. There's gonna be a lot of betrayals. There's gonna be a lot of chaos. There's gonna be a lot of what happened to him? What happened to her? Is everyone okay? And then Tuesday is gonna come and I'm going to be frothing at the mouth to grab onto book 3. An incredible series. If you were looking for a fantasy series that feels nostalgic, maybe you're in a book slump and so you need something that's fast paced, that's going to reel you in, I think this is a fantastic series for that. I'm really excited to see where this book ends. So I'm going to leave you at that. We will come back when this book is over, and then Tuesday, book 3. Okay, this twist, if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. This twist with our male main character, Blake, like I did not see this coming. I think this could be really cool. Terrifying for Maedra, but really cool. If you're planning on reading this book series, just know that I no longer want to read it. I don't want to read it anymore. I am trying not to cry, because if I do start crying, I'm not gonna stop crying. So instead, I'm just gonna not cry. And I'm mad. I'm mad at you, Briar. I'm furious with you. How dare you do this to us? How dare you? Honestly, I said this was a great book 2, and I still stand with that. It is release day for The Wings That Bind. Because I just started the series and started binging it, I did not pre-order the book. My other 2 copies are the ones with the dragon scales, so it's like the deluxe edition. I'm gonna have to go out to another township to pick up the book. Hopefully I can do that today, but coming through in the clutch is my library. They have the audio, not the ebook version, but which is what I wanted, was the ebook, but it's okay because they have the audio. And the prologue starts off with Neville. And so it's a happy Tuesday. It's a happy Tuesday. I'm ready to binge this book, and hopefully my family allow me the little bit of time to drive, like 35 minutes each way, to go to a bookstore to grab a copy. I'm so excited that I didn't have to wait but a couple days. But then I have to wait till October to finish the series with everyone else, but no FOMO here. We got the ebook. Okay, you know what day it is. I didn't pre-order it because I've been binging this series and didn't know, but now finished the book on Sunday. It's Tuesday. Let's go get The Wings That Bind. Okay, we are 60% into The Bond That Burns. Let's do a quick recap. Not recap, but just like feelings. I'm going to try not to give any spoilers here. I think of all 3 books, I'm loving the character depth in book 3 the most. Obviously, it's building up to a huge finale that'll come out in October. But yeah, I'm loving seeing sides of these characters that I didn't anticipate seeing. This is probably wobbly because I'm holding this in my hand. Sorry. Again, trying not to give out any spoilers for any of the books through this, but yeah, I think that book 3 is really well thought out, and I think looking back on books 1 and 2, there were some things that I dismissed that were smaller details or smaller nuances about someone's personality that I just like glossed over, that now I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense to me about that person and their personality. So I'm loving this depth that we get from so many characters. That book 3 is not just 1 or 2 POVs, you know. And I'm loving that. And I think this last 40% is going to be rocking my world. And if there's anything that I learned from books 1 and 2, the last 20 to 10% is going to crush me, and then I'm going to have to patiently try not to cry myself to sleep every night until October. So right now I have to go reorganize my kids' playroom. It's a literal disaster. So I'm going to go do a full reorg and see how much farther I get into this book. I'm going to do some of the audio since I had already snatched it up off Hoopla on release day. So let's go see if Briar could crush our souls just a little more. Okay, we are going to do the ending of book 3, The Wings That Bind of the Bloodwing Academy series. Book 4 comes out in October. I thought that this book personally was actually my favorite of all 3. I tend to think the middle books in the series are my favorites anyways. I loved the multiple POVs. I loved getting more depth with the characters. And I also loved seeing the world and the magic system evolving, answering some of those questions that we had in books 1 and 2. So I'm super excited for the 4th book to come out in October. I am like happy that I binge read these back to back. I think it kept me more immersed in the world, and it was easier for me to pick up on those little Easter eggs. And like I said, answers to questions. Because I remembered all those small details from binging it, which I need to do more of. I need to read series back to back instead of spacing them out so much. So, absolutely loved this. I'm engulfed, and October will not come soon enough.